Hello, welcome everyone to our final coaching shop episode of 2025. I can't believe I'm saying that. But tonight we want to welcome you, what we could call it a holiday special, I suppose, huh, Rebecca? Hi, Rebecca.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks for being here. So, tonight, like I said, last episode of 2025, welcome everyone. I see some alumni on the call. I see some new people on the call, more people joining. Oh, great. Yes. Okay. So say hello in the chat. We want to hear from you during this, even though it's Rebecca and I having a conversation. We want to hear from you because the coaching shop was really inspired by back when we used to have live trainings, Rebecca. Remember those days?
Yeah,
And we'd all get together
yeah.
after the training and have dinner and talk shop. And we talk shop usually late into the night, debating distinctions and talking about what happened in the day. And, we were, and maybe we still are, but we'd be a bit obsessed with our coach training. And so we wanted to recreate that. And so not only do we have alumni here, but we have people interested in being coaches. We have people who are master coaches. Betty told me she was going to join tonight, our founder. We'll see if she gets on the call. But yeah, it's a really special place. And so tonight we also have a really special guest and she is one of my favorite people, Rebeca Ortiz, ACC coach, transformational trainer, and of course, a graduate of Ideal Coaching Global. And she's here to explore with us what it means to stay true to our authentic self. What does that even mean? It's authenticity is a distinction that's thrown around a lot. So we kind of want to get to the heart of that tonight and how living and coaching from our values, from alignment, from presence, from integrity is one of our most powerful tools for transforming our clients, right? So tonight is called True North. And really, we're putting True North into practice. So, not only identifying those personal values that ground who we are and how we coach, but making sure that we lead from authenticity and not performance. And I think integral to that conversation is this idea of integrity, of alignment, which of course we'll speak into as well. So, welcome, Rebecca.
Thanks for having me. So first, welcome, a really warm welcome to everyone. I know cameras are off, but hopefully you decide to bring them on, or I'm not sure what the rules are on that. But it's really terrific to be here, and that's pretty cool. I'm like the last one of the year. That's awesome. It's really
Yeah.
great. And so before I get started, I just want to give a deep, heartfelt gratitude to Ideal Coaching Global, to Kyla, Betty Sproul, I did the program in 2016 and it was amazing. It was really cool. And it's exactly like that, Kyla. I remember we would do like what our conferences would be like in Palm Springs or different locations, Los Angeles, and you'd share rooms with your peers, and then you talk about late at night, even when you're in your room, about the distinctions and just coaching and whether you're excited, scared, how are you going to get clients, what about this topic, that it's so central to coaching and just to life in general. And authenticity is really, it's the thing that I feel really calls to me. It's I don't know how to describe it, but when you have like a passion for maybe a word, an idea, a theory, it comes alive with you, like within you. So I became pretty obsessed about it. And I'm here just to share what I know. So I'm just going to invite you to first, like, maybe let go of our expectations, maybe even let go of what you know about authenticity, because in the training world and in the coaching world, we're inviting our clients, we're inviting the people that we're relating to just be in an open space, right? Because we always want to see what is going to emerge there, not what we already know, because there's so much that I know, and there's so much like to be said about authenticity. But I really just want to talk about what is it for me, and like what's in the essence of authenticity for me, and how does it relate to myself as a human being and when I'm with a client and how and in my relationships. So thank you, Kyla.
Absolutely. And just to answer a question that you brought up, just housekeeping wise. Uh,
Yes.
so it'll be only you and I on video tonight, so everyone else can relax. You don't need to run and put your makeup on,
Okay,
right?
okay. Only I had to do that.
Only we had to do that. But please use the chat. Like say hello. Where are you from? Who's with us? And engage with us.
Yes,
You have
please
a
do.
question, put it in the chat. You have a deep insight, put it in the chat. You have a shallow insight. Put that in the chat too.
Anything. Yes.
We want this to be a conversation. Tonight's not a script. We don't have a bunch of, you know, um, pre-written questions or anything like that. We're really here to have a conversation. So engage with us. And I want to start the conversation, Rebecca, with defining authenticity itself as a distinction, especially in the context of coaching. We could
Okay.
define it a lot of ways. We could go to the dictionary, right? But what does it mean to be authentic as a coach?
Nice. I love that. So I I'm Betty always does this, right? She always has us go to the dictionary and look it up. So I actually did that before I just
Perfect.
I went ahead and I shared what it means. So according to Merriam-Webster, authenticity is defined as the quality of being genuine and worthy of belief. Hence, a person who is completely trustworthy is deemed to be authentic. Yet to be genuine requires a certain transparency whereby others can witness the unfiltered personality without masking. So now I'll go into what I feel like how it relates to the distinction of authenticity within coaching, right? So when I think of authenticity, I always think of alignment. What does that mean? Alignment meaning like um, who you are, what you say, and what you do are congruent. So it's
Mm,
the sense of wholeness, right? And Fernando Flores also calls this like integrity. But if you notice, there's a little bit of collapse with what Merriam-Webster says and what I think it is, because we tend to look at authentic when people say trustworthy, then we look at the morality of somebody. But imagine if authenticity is looked as integrity, as I am whole, you will, I am who I say I am. I do what I say, and like I follow through. That's congruent, right? So it's not a moral concept, but rather it's a state of being whole and complete. So in coaching, authenticity isn't something that we do, it's something that we allow. It's the quality that makes listening transformative and the questions catalytic, right? If you ever notice that when you're in a coaching session, whether you're a beginner or a master, you know that the conversation is moving and that worlds are opening when you are just present and you're just committed to like not what is the person saying, but what is the person not saying? What is the essence that wants to emerge and come through in this conversation? So that's what I mean when a question becomes catalytic. It just like it like I don't know, it opens up something new. It's like I feel sometimes you feel like it's a bomb, like not a bomb like in a bad way, but in like wow, it's just like rippling into something juicier and better. And you notice this, you notice the vibration that happens with your client when the person is being inspired because they are not masking anything. They're just allowing themselves to be. And you are just the container and the space for that person to just be. So
Mm,
that's what I feel authenticity really is and how it shows up. So it's not an additional competency. So if you notice, the ICF has you learn, I don't know if it's like, if I'm updated correctly, but 9 competencies, I think, and they've changed them, right?
mm.
Like powerful questioning is now called evoking awareness. But so authenticity is not an additional competency. It is a context in which every coaching competency comes alive. That's how I see it.
Wow. Hmm. So something you said, it's not a competency, but we can still practice it. No, practice being authentic.
Definitely, absolutely. So it's so like if you so someone asked me earlier, like it's like, so how would you describe a context, right? So a context is what I see, it's either an atmosphere or an environment in which something lives, thrives, and is sustained. So if I'm practicing being authentic, because it's a way of being, then it is. I'm creating that context by by being that, right? Because it's living within me and it continues to thrive and it's sustained by my congruent actions and what
Mhm.
I say and what I do over
Right.
time. So, mhm.
So, as a practice, this is really interesting because being authentic isn't just never wearing a mask, right? Because I think that's almost unattainable as human beings. A part of us is always going to be eclipsed. We can't always just
Mhm.
show every part. It would be like total personality overload, right? Like, and we don't need to show every part of ourselves at every second to be authentic. That's not really what it's getting at. What
Right?
it's getting at is authentically showing the parts of ourselves that are going to be most effective when speaking to a client. And to practice that is actually practice honoring our word as who we are, honoring our
Mm.
questions as they arise, honoring a story. If a story comes to me, I honor that story and I tell that story. Even if I'm like, I have no idea why this story just popped into my head or why this question just came to me, I practice honoring what is authentically arising for me in the moment. Is that?
Yeah, yes. It's kind of like, okay, so I obviously I'm not going to be like when I hear you say unmasking myself, I'm not going to just like be this crazy person that I want to be. Like there needs to be presence, right? I'm anchored, but I'm also honoring my thoughts. I'm honoring my wisdom. Honoring even my creativity, my expression. Like, but that's the part where it can get tricky because sometimes what if the thing that you should say or want to say, but you don't say it because you're afraid of how people are going to perceive you? You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of not fitting in, not being accepted. So again, you're either going against the grain to really show who you are and express yourself, or you're just kind of hiding out sometimes. So it's like it's that takes a level of discernment and maybe like
Mm,
a practice of like presence and how to express it because look at the society and the kind of world that we live in. It's not very common that you're praised for showing up authentic. It's always like, how am I going to get on top? How can I be the best? What corners can I cut? Like, how am I going to be truly accepted? Uh, and in I world
Rebecca, you broke up a little bit
leverage,
there.
right?
Hello? Is she breaking up for just me or is that happening for everyone on the call? Can you tell us in the chat?
Yes, we can see her.
Okay, great. So Rebecca, let us know if you can hear me. Oh, now she's gone. I'm going to continue without her. So what I hear Rebecca saying is really interesting. Um, Authenticity is less about being yourself and more about who you are in relation to other people. So she's talking about how, you
I'm
know,
back.
oh, so often we're not praised for, being authentic. Um, and that might not show up as like, oh, well, I was being myself though, right? But more so on how we relate to people, how people can rely on us. Um, and I think it's really interesting that trust comes into this word authenticity because if I'm just being myself, that's authentic, right? Um, but if I'm being myself and people can't rely on me, people can't trust me, even though I'm being myself, I'm not authentic. Help me understand that one, Rebecca.
Because it has to do with integrity. Like it has to be like if I say I'm going to do something, then I follow through on that. It's like everything is like I believe like authenticity isn't it's a way of being, but that's why it's so directly correlated with integrity because integrity shows up through action. What are the actions that you're taking? Are you being your word? Are you honoring your word? Are you doing what you say you're going to do? Even with yourself, most importantly, with yourself.
Mm,
And that already in itself shows up as a frequency of trust, an energy of trust. It's
right.
like it's what gets generated from that. Like from you just being authentic. That's why it's like I noticed that it's not it continues to be like a context that I choose to live by and practice at it because it's not like it doesn't happen overnight, but I feel like I was just thinking about this earlier today. It's like, how many times are you sincerely honest with yourself? Like honest, like really honest. And I don't know what that is like for other people, whether they practice that or not. But for me, like since I started really learning and diving into this, I am just what I say I'm gonna do and who like I try to be as honest with myself as possible. And I try to live in alignment to that sincerity and being genuine like that. So when
Mm,
you come across people that you're like, wow, that person is so genuine. Well, they must have like a very good relationship with themselves and how they honor themselves, how they honor their word, how they honor everything that they're going to do and how they're living. You know, it's the way that they decide to live. There's a quote that I want to share with you guys that actually ties into this conversation right now. It's by Carl Jung. It says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And I think that's what we invite our clients into experience their own truth.
mm,
So it's like, what is your truth also? You know,
right.
what is the truth that your client is wanting to share, but is probably scared by all the ways that authenticity is blocked. You know, authenticity is blocked by um, making mistakes, not having it perfect, you know, not fitting in, not being accepted, not being loved. There's so many ways that we sell out or we give up on our authenticity and it's a really awesome place to explore and to connect with and to be with.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up honesty. It's something that Roberto just put in the chat is a coach he knows telling him that to be authentic, you get to be inauthentic. Otherwise, how would you
Ah,
know? Right? And it really takes us out of this space of like, oh man, I was inauthentic right there. I, I'm bad. Oh man, gosh, just going to bed, with those thoughts. I didn't ask the question and I should have, or, all the shoulda, woulda, couldas.
mm,
Yeah, we're all inauthentic sometimes. And that, is how we start to learn to be authentic and to be honest about that. And when we're honest about being inauthentic, it opens up authenticity. I think when we find ourselves in a situation where we didn't keep our word, where we said one thing and we did another, where we, let someone down. One of the most important practices we can have is immediately stating that and putting that into the space. Hey, I wasn't authentic in that moment. And by saying it, we become authentic, right? We bring that back into the space. So yeah, Roberto, thank you so much um, for sharing that.
yeah. So
So
I think authenticity, oh, I was just going to also share, it's like authenticity requires a genuine sharing of your inner self. And that's really scary sometimes. It's like you get to be super vulnerable and like, I'm trusting this person. I remember this one time I did a course with Fernando Flores, and he's like, well, sharing of your having trust is like someone giving you their heart and saying, I have your heart. I'm going to share and look after this with so much love and appreciation. I'm just going to take care of it. Like, and I was like, wow, I've never looked at it like that at all. But it's true. It's like if I'm sharing my inner self, I'm sharing all of myself regardless of the consequences. And some of those consequences may be that, I'm judged, or I didn't say what I wanted to say, or I said something and I'm like, oh man, I'm so dumb. Why did I say that? Like all this self-sabotage that happens. But it's the more you practice just allowing yourself to be, like the freer you become, and like the more you understand what it means to live in alignment to your highest truth,
mhm,
and just to be an honest human being and support that, like become the container and the space for other people to show their inner self, which is, I think, the goal in the coaching sessions as well, right? Like people want to know, they come to you, well, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. It's like, yes, you do. But you've been cultivated and conditioned in this world to be something other than feel safe for wanting to be who you are, right? Well, I
right,
felt that. I was like, I
right.
felt that.
Sit with that for a second. I mean, we really have been, and we've also been conditioned to make excuses for that, to, you know, if I'm late, rather than just owning that I was late, bringing a bunch of excuses to the table, right? Or creating a bunch of drama, it's really rare, I find, in the world that someone is late or someone drops the ball and they just go, yep, dropped the ball. That was me. Right. So not only, yeah, we also are conditioned to try to shy away from anything that'll make us look bad, you know?
Yes. And then we alter our communication and our behavior to assure that those consequences won't be negative or problematic. We have a tendency to diminish our authenticity. And then what ends up happening? Well, we don't grow and our self-esteem is impacted. So being authentic requires a genuine sharing in the present moment.
Mm, mhm. And this, it really feels like the word power needs to come into this conversation
Mm,
because I find, okay, when we're talking about alignment, we're talking about authenticity, and that the alignment comes through me being my word being my action becomes my results, and my results shape my life.
Hmm.
When these are aligned, we're dealing with a powerful human being. When I can speak something, and
Mm,
just by me speaking it, you know that it's going to become a reality.
okay.
That's power.
It is. It's part of evoking something. Like you evoke. Like authenticity is really that invisible thread that weaves just being present to something, right? The acknowledgement of like, this is what I'm declaring, this is the intention that I have, and I'm acting in alignment with that intention. And that intention becomes alive and it is awakening remarkable. It's
Rebecca, we're losing you a little bit again.
miraculous, I think. Something amazing. And that's exactly what I feel sometimes. Can you hear me well? Because yeah,
You're back
okay, I
now.
got unstable. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Never
But
do.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So I think there's some questions, and I don't know if there are any that we want to answer.
Yeah, so
It's like,
one question that came up, Rebecca, is let's talk about so sometimes it feels easier to be authentic than others. Um,
okay,
and so this question of pressure came up from TiVo. Thank you for the question, TiVo.
thank you,
Um,
Timo.
and so when we're under pressure, sometimes we might act in a way that's inauthentic, or we might say something that is inauthentic because we're feeling that pressure, like you were just talking about, how the pressure to perform or the pressure to show up smart or the whatever it is.
Hmm.
So, how do you practice being authentic even when the stakes are high, even when you have a lot of pressure?
I feel like I would need more context to give a good answer, or but the only thing that comes to mind is like this like comes to I would then I'm now trying to
Rebecca, can you
solve
start again?
the pressure. I don't know how to, if that makes sense. It's like, no, I oh, I was just saying that I would probably like to look at what caused the pressure,
Mm.
but the word that comes to mind is empathy. Like, having an empathetic environment or relationship, like what is not happening where, yeah, what needs to happen for even that circumstance to change? But
Mm.
I think I would need more context unless, do you want to dive into this question a little bit? Because I'm not sure what is
Well, what you
asked here.
said is interesting in itself.
Mm-hmm.
What triggered the pressure for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So without knowing what trigger, I think this is a hypothetical question is how it came across. Um, but noticing what triggered that pressure to begin with could be really powerful
Yes.
for you, TiVo. And then I love what someone else just put in the chat. Janie, I think I'm saying that right, talking about compassion and cultivating self-compassion, cultivating this and having it become a pattern. And I love that she brought in the word pattern, because probably what the answer to why did this create pressure for me is a pattern. And
Mm-hmm.
as coaches, we want to start identifying patterns, right? Because all of us live in patterns. From I am 7 months pregnant right now, and I was talking to Betty Sproul the other day, and we were talking about patterns and how patterns, we're born into patterns. My daughter is going to be born into a biological pattern, right? But also an emotional pattern, a cultural pattern. And we're born into these. And something that you said to me, Rebecca, is like we have to ask ourselves this question: what were we born into? And what's truly ours? In other words, what have we absorbed along the way? And as adults, we have to ask, okay, I absorbed this. Do I want to keep it? Or is it something I want to let go?
Yeah, it's like and that's the daily practice that we're talking about when you're connecting with your authenticity. It's like knowing, and this is actually the genesis of our phone call together, right? We talked about how do I identify my own values and beliefs. Well, that's the work in itself. That's the work that even some of your clients are looking into. They want to know what are some of the beliefs and values that are passed down that maybe I just adopted because I didn't know, or I just thought that's the way it always was, or I am this way. My grandma was this way. I'm always going to be this way. So you need to kind of start negating that in a way. Like, don't take it as an absolute and really just being curious about it. Because bringing compassion, as one of, I can't remember the name, but someone said, like, bringing compassion into your life and bringing compassion. It's like, am I trying to fix something? No, you're not trying to fix anything. You're not anything to be fixed. You're not broken, right? You're just someone that, we get to understand and be compassionate with you and just be real with you and empathize. But if there's pressure involved, I'm pretty sure there's a conversation that hasn't been had about being real, about
Mhm.
being human even. It's like, there's certainly some wild expectations that bosses have or family members have. I know a lot of family stuff is coming up during the season because you're visiting old relatives and you're like, whoa. But you get to even revisit that with love and compassion and realize, oh, it's not mine to keep, like you said. It's not for me to keep. I can release this. And this is how you really internalize and get to know your inner self. And you, again, continue to be the space. Like I said, authenticity is a context. At least that's how I look at it. I'm not saying you should believe what I'm saying, but it's like that's what I felt has really helped me. It's like, how is my authenticity living and thriving right now?
I love that. And so a context, right? We can think
Hmm.
of like what grows in the desert, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Cacti,
Yes.
snakes, lizards, right? Cold water
It's like,
animals.
yes, I
So what
love
do
that
we,
example.
right? So what do we want? So our context holds what we can
Oh,
grow. And so if we want to grow authenticity, what I'm hearing, Rebecca, is that one, it's really important to know our values, to know what's truly important to us, not just what's been handed to us, but really what do we value? So in those moments of pressure, those moments of, ooh, right? We're at least grounded in what do I value? I value honesty. I value speaking my mind, even though it might not
mhm.
be wildly popular, right? So that's what I'm going to do here. And we can fall back on our values in moments of pressure. So knowing our values and then staying aligned with them, acting on those values.
And that's integrity. That's
Mm,
integrity in action. And yes, I love that example. It's like, well, what grows in the desert? Whatever grows in the desert stays in the desert. If it doesn't grow there, then it dies. The same thing. It's kind of like when you practice cultivating your authenticity and being an authentic person, anything that it does not align with you or your authentic being, it falls away. You don't even have to think about it sometimes. It's like, so it's as simple as that for me, at least. That's how easy I see it. It's like, oh, well, in talking about relationships or jobs, you become less attached to things because you realize they're just not in alignment with my beliefs, my values, and how I really honor myself.
Right. It reminds me of Michelangelo, the artist, and he was creating one of his most famous pieces, the sculpture of David. And when he was done, someone looked at it and was just like, "How on earth did you take this block of granite, right, and
Mhm.
create that out of it?" Right? It's just this amazing piece of art. And Michelangelo said to have replied something like, "I just chipped away everything that wasn't David,"
That's
right?
amazing. Yes, yes. I
So
love that. That's a wonderful way to put it. It's
mhm.
like, yeah, and I don't know if we want to do another question because I know it's like 6:30, well, it's 36 minutes in, and I think we only answered one, so I'm not sure if we want to do more.
We have questions coming in, and I'll tell you as they do.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm over here
Um,
moderating as well.
don't worry, Rebecca. I got your back, girl.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and yeah, we have like 15 minutes more to explore this distinction. So if anyone does have a question or wants to share, someone just said, "I don't completely understand context and
Hmm.
authenticity." So yeah, context is a really difficult distinction to kind of land for people sometimes. So,
Okay,
Rebecca, yeah,
so let
why don't
me,
you?
so I keep saying, yeah, so I keep saying like authenticity is a container. So meaning like in your container of authenticity, are you living according to what you honor or what you value or what's important to you, and not looking at as authenticity as something wrong or right? It's not a moral concept, but it's like a state of being whole. How do you know when something is whole? Well, you definitely know when it's not whole, right? Like when it's like for example, I'll just take my little like canteen, water canteen. I know my canteen is open, the straw in there. It's in integrity. But the moment that this thing breaks or the straw is missing or I'm no longer able to drink from it, like it doesn't work, then it's out of integrity and it's no longer whole. So you're right. This is kind of difficult too. I'm like thinking, how do I tie that back into authenticity? So authentic, just for like the sake of it, I just think it's like showing up, being genuine, and being real. And only how do you know when you're not being real? Only you know, right?
Hmm.
Only you know when you're not whole and complete within yourself. And what is your job as a coach is to help your client explore that and just be open to what emerges and what comes up. And I still don't know if I answered the question, but I wanted just to say, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let me see if I'm hearing you, right? So we're talking about
Mhm.
context as a container, just like we
Yeah,
talked about the desert being a context, the desert being a container. The desert can grow cacti, not roses, right? The ocean
correct.
as a context, it grows coral, not trees, right? So authenticity as a context determines the content that's going to show up in that environment. So if you're walking around with the context of authenticity, what might the content be that shows up? What we could say, like, what mood might show up? Maybe
Hmm.
um, um, what trust might show up, right? Because authenticity leads to trust. Um, and the power to create results might show up, right? So the content is what's being said or what's being done or what's happening. And context is the meaning or the framework that gives that content significance. Am I close, Rebecca?
Yes, yes. And really, when she said, what is authenticity? It just requires genuine sharing in the present moment, like I had said. So now we want to relate authenticity that I do to the
Rebecca,
com authenticity. How does authenticity? Oh, am I
we
cutting off
lost you.
here?
Start again. Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at authenticity within a competency, like
Okay.
the ICF competency. So really, authenticity, what would it look like? Like, let's say if we put presence in the container or the context of authenticity, right? Right. Make sure these competencies come alive within the context of authenticity. Is that making sense a bit? So, like, let's say presence, right? That's one of the competencies. How would I know I'm being authentically present, or how is presence showing up in this context of authenticity, right?
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Or am I losing everyone here?
No, I think presence is really important when we're talking about authenticity because the two are also intertwined, right? If we're not present to our own presence, we can easily become inauthentic. So it's this allowing for ourself to be seen, this
Yeah.
allowing for the walls to kind of come down and for us to say, this is who I am, I can do no other, right? And when we
Yes.
honor ourselves that way, we create a powerful context and one that is genuine and authentic to others around us. And that's important because it, it has to show up for others, right? It can't, we don't live in this bubble where, well, I'm authentic, doesn't matter what anyone else says. Um, but it shows up in relationship. So presence, I think, was definitely something we want to bring up. And Kala, hi, asks, is it authentic or vulnerable? And I suppose vulnerability could be part of authenticity. What do you think, Rebecca? Rebecca.
Yeah. I lost you guys again.
Okay, so someone asked about, is it
So
vulnerability in authenticity? Can you speak into that?
yes, because vulnerability, we need to look at it as also as a way of being. So it's like vulnerability is also a way of being. It's who I'm being, it's how I'm showing up. So authentic presence, like as a competency, like maintaining competency number 5, I remember maintaining presence throughout my coaching call, right? With my client. It's I'm simply being with another human being. Like I'm just being. I'm not here to solve. I'm not here to fix. I'm not here to perform or to be any other than this authentic context or the container for authenticity, right? Where I'm just like being a whole human being, fully present, and listening then becomes like multidimensional, right? We hear the tone, we hear the rhythm, we hear silence, we hear energy. Well, at least I hear energy, and we listen from our whole being, right? So it's like, what does it take to even get to that point? What are the practices in place that you have? Number one, yeah, definitely being accessing your own self
Mm.
throughout our daily lives,
We're
a
losing you again.
continuous practice. Oh, did I pause again?
Yeah, you're cutting up.
So this helps see, like, I'm cutting off.
Go ahead.
I swear I was good. I had a conference call before and it was good. I don't know what's happening. So I, as a practice, so even like checking in with yourself on a daily, whether you're coaching or not coaching, it's like, what am I bringing in this right
Hmm.
now? Self that helps to
I
good.
wish we
You know,
could hear
someone took your
you.
parking spot. You were waiting, right, for that parking spot. Oh, shoot. Mm.
See if she comes back. Rebecca. I don't know. Her Wi-Fi doesn't seem great right now.
It doesn't. I live in Mexico, guys, and I had a conference call earlier and it was fine. So I was really hopeful that none of this would, that it, I would have great service. So I really apologize for that. But just to come back to what I was saying is like anything can happen in your day, right? You can stay stuck on a situation where you want to be right or you want to look good about, an event that happened. I'm just speaking here generally, but sometimes you just gotta be prepared every day, every moment. Really, what are you bringing into the space, and with your client or with hands or with your family members. Because remember, being authentic doesn't come from trying to make it right or to perform or to have the greatest session. It just comes from being your full self in the moment, being human. But that doesn't mean you get to like have a coaching call and unload all of your stuff with your client, right? That's not what the coaching call is for. So,
Yeah, yeah. And in that sense, Rebecca, even your Wi-Fi going out right now creates a teaching moment around authenticity because I don't know this for sure, but you could be feeling the pressure, right? Like, oh no, the Wi-Fi, like, and I didn't want that to go that way. Well, that's how life is, right?
it
There's
would have been
breakdown.
great.
There's breakdowns all the time. And it goes back to what Tiva was asking, what do we do under pressure? Do
Ooh.
we fall apart? Or do we have some grace? Do we have some compassion? Are we able to acknowledge the breakdown and move past the breakdown? And I think that becomes really important that we not only talk about empathy and compassion, but we can also practice it. And in a way only
Ah.
the universe could do, we're getting to practice it right now, right? Hmm. Well, I'm going
Think,
to, uh-huh.
can you hear me? I was just going to
Yeah.
say, like, I know, just think about in the grand scheme of things, Olympian athletes that are under tremendous pressure to perform, to execute, to represent their country. And I mean, they even go through experiences that really just, you know, gets them out of the race, or they don't get to fully compete or perform as they would love. But what do? It's like you well, why in this situation? I just go with it, and I apologize to everyone, but I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to speak with you guys. That um, authenticity really is just showing up as your full self, your whole self, not wanting to be perfect, but just being real with people.
Mm, thank you, Rebecca.
Hey.
Yeah. So what I'm taking away from today is authenticity has to do with being seen, with allowing
Mhm.
myself to be seen. And and from there, how I move through the world with this word we call integrity, being aligned, my words, my way of being, my actions, my results, that creates power. And so, uh, w- one of the things you touched on that I want to end in is this idea of values, because we talked about it starting there. If I don't know what I
Yes.
value, it's hard for me to get to the point where I have this really incredible power to create in the world. So, how do you suggest people go about identifying what they value?
Hmm. I love that question. That was, I think I made a list. I remember this is something that we were going to talk about, but just from my own perspective, it's like understanding, okay, what is in alignment with your highest truth? Like, what is it that I value? Do I value honesty? Do I value family? Do I value quality time? Do I value sincerity? And I guess an easy way to notice that is like noticing things that, well, what's a priority for your life? What brings you the greatest ease or peace of mind or tranquility, or the what feels effortless to you? Where do you feel like you're moving and flowing in your own rhythm of life? That's where I found the core of like my values, where I just felt, I feel really healing for me. So it's like that's kind of how I relate things. I relate to feeling. Am I flowing in this? Is there ease here? Is it effortless? And is there joy? Do I feel lit up inside with this? And value can be many things. I mean, you create your own values. You value work ethic, you value having luxurious items, you value taking vacations with your family, you value sitting in nature, you value, what do you value? What lights you up?
Hmm. Yeah,
And then like David, taking everything away that doesn't go with that.
right.
And that
Exactly.
means, and that's the hard part though, because that means your lifestyle changes, your friends change, everything starts to change. And that's the invitation of transformation though. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. Used to have a teacher who said, to have everything you want in life, get rid of everything you don't.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
Right? And I've always kept that with me. So yeah, it's a great practice. What could you get instead of just focusing on what you want? What's in your life that you don't want that you could let go of right now? And chipping away at that to really reveal what's left is everything that you want. So yes, natural culling process.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you everyone in the chat for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I do have something I need to tell you, so don't leave. Um, We are having a 2 week break for the holidays. So normally the coaching shop is every 2 weeks. We're not going to be back until January 6th. So please update your calendar for that. And we'll have probably one of the most unique speakers we might ever have on the coaching shop for our first guest in 2026. His name is Sean Emler. And he will be,
Oh, cool.
yeah, he's going to be drawing from Peruvian and Andean wisdom, ancient Inca cosmology, and he's also studying to get his PhD in psychology. So bridging, this gap between science and spirit. And he's really going to be talking about how to ground us in spirit, which is something that we don't always talk about as coaches.
Mm.
But this unnamed, this unseen force that has rooted ancient wisdom, for long before we came up with these modern psychological, kind of a framework that we call coaching nowadays. So he's gonna really bring something special. So I encourage you to come to our first coaching shop session in January 6th. Um, I will, of course, be sending you all emails. Um, and and we also have a holiday gift for you all. So anyone who's interested in joining our next cohort of certified coaches, the same program that Rebecca went through and I went through, and anyone else that you've seen on the coaching shop went through, we're offering $500 off. And all you have to do is sign up by tonight. The offer ends tonight. So if you're just hearing about it, no worries, you still have time. But you have to sign up. There's a link in the chat, sign up. And that includes alumni because Betty's inviting everyone to do a refresher course with her. Come
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, come and redo you can never redo the program because it's so different every time. Sure, we study the same competencies, but uh what Betty brings and Anna brings to every generation is truly unique. So if you want to join, go ahead and click that link, schedule a call. You can schedule the call anytime through the end of 2026, but as long as you schedule tonight, you'll lock in that deal. Um, and I think that's everything. I wish everyone a really happy holiday season. I know Hanukkah started yesterday. We have Christmas coming up, Kwanzaa, New Year's, all the things. So, many blessings to everyone on this call. And thank you so much for being here, Rebecca.
Thank you, Kyla. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and I appreciate you all. And I think this holiday season, I feel like there's a common thread amongst all, like even Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It's like to remember to be the light. So just remember to be the light wherever you are. But thank you, Kyla, again for having me.
It's been a pleasure. All right, I'll see everyone in 2026.